Hi, this is Dr. Kurt Stahura. I am a professor at Niagara University within the College of Hospitality and Tourism Management. I'm also the NGTI, or Niagara Global Tourism Institute, Scholar and Director of Research. And we're here for another episode within our tourism shorts that many of you have been following, and we really appreciate that. Today we're very, very fortunate to have Joe Lettieri, who is the owner-operator of InnBuffalo, down in Buffalo. And we're going to talk today about some of the context of what's going on in this world as we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel with respect to hopefully the beginning of the COVID season being behind us.
The first day of the rest of our life.
The first day of the rest of our lives. So I guess the first question I'd like to ask or present to you is tell us a little about yourself and tell us about your property and how some of the things have been going through the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, thank you so much, and it's an honor to be here talking to you. I'm very humbled by this opportunity. My background is kind of a little mixed bag. I feel like I've been in training for this project. We are for this project for 30 years. So my wife and I bought this historic mansion in the Elmwood Village in 2011, sight unseen at a tax sale.
Wow.
And that's, I describe it as a magic carpet ride, truthfully. That it has taken me on a journey and to not only become a preservationist and understanding historical preservation, but it also made me an ambassador for our region.
Sure.
And it was not my vocation. My dad affectionately referred to me as the maintenance guy.
Uh-huh.
I call myself the janitor. I call myself my wife's maintenance guy.
Uh-huh.
And now I find myself as an innkeeper of a historic property and an incredible history, and I get to share that history, which includes Niagara Falls. Has a lot to do with it, and it's been kind of an eye-opening journey for sure.
Sure. How about as a person that's kind of interested in history and being relatively new here and driving around and getting the historical context of both Niagara Falls and Buffalo, what is the history out of your property, just out of curiosity?
Well, I give my guests an opportunity, a 30-second, 60-second, or a minute-and-a-half elevator speech.
Let's do this 60-second.
All right. So Buffalo, I think this region has two chapters.
Uh-huh.
Buffalo in particular. The first chapter starts with the Erie Canal, 120 years ago, or excuse me, in 1820. They dig this Clinton's Ditch, and it connects Buffalo to New York City's harbor. But it was significant because it connected the western states and provinces. So they can now get their goods onto if you look at a map, the furthest you can go traveling east on the Great Lakes was Buffalo. But then I say, no, that's actually not true. You can actually go further, but if you're not in a barrel, it's a
right.
They frown upon that, and that's the first story because Niagara Falls is in the way, and you had to start the canal somewhere, and the falls made it problematic. So Buffalo became what it was in terms of an inland port, one of the largest inland ports in the world, because of Niagara Falls.
Sure.
And the second chapter also has to do with Niagara Falls. The second chapter in 1890s. Nikolai Tesla and Thomas Edison and Mr. Westinghouse come to harness the power of Niagara Falls. And the result is Buffalo becomes the first electrified city in the world with an abundance of power. Nobody else had that. And the result of that was inventions and inventors were being drawn to this region like a magnet to take advantage of the power.
It was almost the Silicon Valley of its day.
Absolutely, and that's a correlation I use. This region was the Silicon Valley for like 100 years. No one knows, inventions truly that helped change the world happened here. And Buffalo's I'm doing a survey, and when I say Buffalo, New York, to 500 people, the top three answers are snow, Buffalo Bills, and chicken wings.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, we invented air conditioning. And I'm not sure where we can fit that. Between the chicken wings and the snow and the Buffalo Bills and the chicken wing. But I think there's some cities around the country and perhaps some countries around the world that should be bowing down before us.
Okay, so let's use that as a platform for a little bit of our chat. Let's play the game that you're in charge of the tourism portfolio in this region. And I say region because I think there's been a Buffalo kind of providing its menu of offerings, and then Niagara Falls providing its menu of offerings, and those folks don't necessarily always provide each other's offerings. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, and this is new to me, so I'm thinking about the Niagara Falls experience and the Buffalo experience, and I'm talking to CV convention visitors bureaus and their marketing guys, and I know from my own personal experience, when I tell somebody I'm from Buffalo, New York, I get met with this question. How close are you to Yankee Stadium?
Right.
How far are you from Times Square? And it's like a geography lesson. You have to explain that Buffalo is as close to Chicago as it is to New York City, and our pizza's not as thin as New York and it's not as thick as Chicago's. It's just about in the middle.
Sure.
But if you tell somebody you're from the Niagara Falls, Buffalo region, that kind of puts a bow on it, geographically speaking. Everyone knows Niagara Falls.
No question.
It has worldwide recognition. And Buffalo, the chicken wing snow and the Buffalo Bills piece that is synonymous with Buffalo, you don't get the same reaction when you tell somebody the Niagara Falls, Buffalo region. You get people come back with Majestic and Niagara Falls and Maid of the Mist and Beautiful and Honeymoons, and I think it's important. Branding is so important in this day and age. It is social media, and we need to really take a step back and look at how we brand Niagara Falls and how we brand Buffalo. And you think about other examples around the country. Tampa, St. Petersburg, they market it as a region.
Right.
Dallas, Fort Worth, they market it as a region. The Twin Cities,
Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah, that's a couple examples how they market. And one thing that we have that Detroit doesn't have, and when I say we, Buffalo, one thing that Buffalo has that Detroit doesn't have, that Pittsburgh doesn't have, that Chicago doesn't have, that Cleveland doesn't have, is Niagara Falls.
Right.
And the last time I checked, high tide raises all boats. And for the Niagara Falls Tourism Bureau and the Buffalo Tourism Bureau not to be working together is just short-sighted.
And I'm relatively new here. What are, and you have the historical context of having grown up here, as suggested in your history. What are some of the things that you think could enable that to happen a little bit better?
It's simply a collaborative effort that gives Niagara Falls the top billing for those two examples we talked about earlier. You guys are part of the Buffalo story. Part of both of the Buffalo stories. You were in the way, and you guys were brought the power to us.
Sure.
You made this region what it is today and what it was, and you made this region, truthfully, inventions that helped change the world happened here, and and the name recognition. So I think you guys should get top billing. Niagara Falls should be the Niagara Falls Buffalo region, and if we market it that way, the data shows it'll have $1 billion impact the first year alone, and it will be like the snowball effect. Everyone has this social media or their friends and family, whether it's through Facebook or easily connectivity with this cell phone we have. and they share their experience. And when you exceed somebody's expectations, you make them spokespersons for your product,
Sure.
or for whatever you're selling.
Yeah.
In this case, we're selling tourism, and if the Niagara Falls visitor knows that Buffalo's there in the beginning, at the beginning of their plan, when they're planning their trip to Niagara Falls, and they look at all the things they're going to do in Niagara Falls, the Maid of the Mist, the Cave of the Winds, Goat Island, hiking trails, they're going to, Buffalo sneaks into their search.
Mm-hmm.
And now they look in Buffalo. What's Buffalo have? Well, second to Chicago in the amount of buildings designed by Frank Lloyd Wright.
Right.
We have the first skyscraper in the United States. We have one of the top 100 buildings in the Richardson complex. We have parks and parkways designed by Olmsted, who also said that Buffalo was the best designed city he had ever seen. And incredible architecture that, again, is thankful for, because everything that Niagara Falls did for us in terms of wealth, the wealth that they brought because of the inventors that came,
Mm-hmm.
because of the electricity that was produced, is just amazing. Our art gallery, I glossed over the Albright Knox Art Gallery, one of the top collections of modern contemporary art in the world.
Sure.
It's in our backyard, for God's sakes. And Niagara Falls doesn't recognize Buffalo. The Tourism Bureau up here doesn't even put Buffalo on the map. I'm like, I'm new to this. I've only been an innkeeper for 5 or 6 years. I can't remember. I don't know if we're supposed to count COVID. I want to call it a leap year.
Sure.
So, but the Niagara Falls Visitors Bureau doesn't even put Buffalo on their map. We're 15 miles away. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense, and I think we need to take a hard look at how we market this region.
And the Statler Hotel was revolutionary too.
Absolutely.
The first hotel with.
Yeah, I'm on his coattails. That's Mr. Statler. I have a funny story. A friend of mine's dad was a bartender, and he knew Mr. Statler. And Mr. Statler told my friend's dad that if a guest wanted a bottle of booze at 2 o'clock in the morning and the liquor store was closed, that he would break the window on the liquor store to get it for him. That's the level of hospitality not only
Customer
you're going to get
service,
at the inn in Buffalo off Elmwood, but I think regionally, that's the mentality when we're welcoming the world to the Niagara Falls Buffalo region. That's how they should be treated.
Nice. They talk about COVID as being a bit of a setback. However, sometimes setbacks can also provide opportunities. And it can provide, if nothing else, a reset and a different way of looking at something, because it was a hurdle that had to be overcome or something that had to be navigated. Do you see COVID as being an opportunity for the region?
Yeah, certainly. Silver lining, right? So every cloud has a silver lining. There's opportunity, and the fact that the tourism industry took a hit financially, right? Because they're funded by the bed tax. The bed tax that the hotels collect fund the tourism bureaus.
Right.
And guess what we didn't have last year? We didn't have any revenue.
Yeah.
And then, so we have to think outside of the box. And, it's been, magic carpet ride is an understatement. So when I talk to the visitors bureaus and they tell me, how people, you have to, they're going to plan their trip, their itinerary at the beginning. You have to get to them in the beginning. When somebody is planning a trip, and if they're coming to the falls, they're going to look at things to do in the falls. But if they're coming to the Niagara Falls Buffalo region, they're going to look at it as a region, and they're going to spend an extra day. If you get
Or two.
if you get them to spend just one, and I know that's been a mantra of Niagara University,
yeah.
Pat's, if they spend one more day, the economic impact of I know the numbers are somewhere between 10 and So I will use the number 5. 5 million people spend one extra day when they visit the falls because Buffalo is included in their marketing search, or the region. That's a $2 billion.
Oh my gosh.
$400 per person per night. And the people in Niagara Falls have to realize we're only 15 miles away. That's the kick, right? So Buffalo is 15 miles away from Niagara Falls. The people that are staying in the hotels in Niagara Falls are not going to pull up their stakes and go to Buffalo and stay in a hotel in Buffalo. It's 15 miles. They're going to travel to Buffalo. So they might lose a lunch or a dinner. That $400 includes lunch and dinner.
Sure.
But they're going to get the lion's share of that $400. And I think the hotel owners need to organize. And the tail is wagging the dog with respect to our seat. The hoteliers are the guys that collect the hotel tax that funds the visitors bureaus.
Right.
Well, we're not organized. I'm just a little innkeeper. I have 11 rooms, right? But they don't meet on a regular basis. They don't have a seat at the table. And I think we need to get their attention by telling them we need to market it as a region, and it will be good for everyone. And those 2 million or those 5 million visitors to spend an extra day will have a $1 billion impact. And it's only the beginning. It's only the tip. And then when we exceed our guests' expectations, we make them ambassadors for our region. And they tell their friends, and that $2 billion just goes up and up and up. And I like to say Bell Aerospace, Curtiss-Wright Aviation, Sikorsky Helicopters, Bethlehem Steel, Trico, all those businesses are gone. Tourism is our new industry, and we have to manage it better than ever. And we could have the biggest impact since Bell Aerospace left, or Curtiss-Wright left, or Trico left, or Bethlehem Steel closed. This could be the biggest thing for this region since the 70s.
Interesting. I'm going to throw out another crazy idea. As I was listening to you speak, I know that Niagara Falls and Buffalo, I agree with you, should probably communicate a little bit more with respect to the offerings and all of the breadth of opportunities for a family to engage in experiences here. Although it's not possible now, how about the Canadian side? Do you consider that to be part of the region as well?
Yeah, I'm just yes, that's the 10,000 foot view, right?
Yeah, right.
So if God forbid we get the 12 miles of track between Buffalo and Niagara Falls, and God forbid that the GO train connects to downtown Buffalo, and that, oh, by the way, the world-class train station that they just built on Exchange Street in downtown Buffalo. Right. Can you imagine the GO train connecting Buffalo to not only Niagara Falls but to Toronto? Yeah. That could be a game changer.
Sure.
And that's beyond my ability. All I'm looking to do is I want to just change, have a regional approach, and just a simple one. Call it the Niagara Falls Buffalo region, and the rest of it will take care of itself. Buffalo, when they see the impact of just that regional, it doesn't cost anything to do it. Oh, by the way, when the impact will be so, it will have such a financial impact, economic impact, that then all of a sudden, we have to put train track in. 12 miles of train track is like, we're going to have the attention of the leaders. And
so I think one of the things that you're sort of requesting is that maybe the folks within the tourism and hospitality industry in both Niagara Falls and Buffalo need to convene and maybe get a collective strategy in ways that will benefit both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that makes sense. And
I can't. I want to start. I don't know. I'm just a janitor, right? So and I'm maybe not. I don't say it the right way. So we need a spokesperson, and other than me, and somebody that's more polished. But until that happens, that's just a really easy. You talk about low fruit.
Sure.
Marketing it as a region. That's the lowest. I can't. That's fruit on the ground.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being here. We
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate it. I really appreciate all of the your perspective, and as a person who's relatively new here and understanding the history a little at a time through Pat Whalen and other people that show me little gems that are all over the place. There's an awful lot to do here,
Yeah.
and so much we have to offer.
And thank you so much for having me. And I think it's important to note that I have just an intimate property, 11 rooms. I'm just about post-COVID. We're approaching saturation. So financially, this idea of regionalism is not, or marketing it as a region, is not going to affect me financially.
Right.
I can't get. I'm not expanding. It's about the region. It's about the people. It's about sustainability.
No
it's
question.
about growing jobs through tourism. Right. Lifting everyone, lifting Buffalo, lifting the poverty off of the Buffalo school system, the Niagara Falls school system, and
It's a domino effect.
yeah, it's so important. It's
I agree. Well, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate this, and I'm looking forward to continued conversation because I think you have an incredible perspective.
It was great meeting you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.